Bible. Stay with the Bible. I am Mr. Batman, the Dark Knight of Logic, and we are making the kingdom great again by keeping the commandments of Yahweh and teaching others to do the same. Welcome back to BioLogos Academy. I am the Dark Knight of Logic. In our last session, we proved beyond the shadow of a mathematical doubt that Yeshua passed the Deuteronomy tests for a true prophet with absolute perfection. He pointed the people directly to the Torah of Yahweh. So we are forced to ask a logical question. Why did the religious elite, the Pharisees and Sadducees, hate him so much? If he was keeping the law perfectly, what was the actual conflict? To answer that, we have to look at their foundation. I ask you, by what standard were they operating? They were not operating from the Tanakh. They had abandoned the Creator's absolute standard for a shifting evolutionary system of their own making. Let me remind you, whether you are an atheist troll on the internet or a first-century Pharisee, the principle is the same. Knowledge, logic, and truth absolutely cannot be justified without the existence and the authority of Yahweh. When you abandon His word, your logic collapses into absurdity. A lot of modern theologians, who frankly wouldn't pass a basic freshman debate class, will tell you that Yeshua came to do away with the law. They claim he came to replace the harsh rules of the Tanakh with some vague lawless concept of grace. I ask you, does that even make logical sense? The Creator, whose design shows staggering, irreducible complexity from the orbit of the planets to the inner workings of a single cell, suddenly changes his mind? Suddenly decides his perfect instructions are obsolete? Absolutely not. The conflict in the Brit Hadashah was never Yeshua versus the Torah. It was Yeshua versus the Takanot, the man-made traditions, the oral law. We must define our terms. What is sin? 1 John 3:4 defines it strictly. Sin is lawlessness. It is the rejection of Yahweh's Torah. If Yeshua broke the Torah, he sinned. If he sinned, he cannot be the Messiah. But Yeshua did not break the Torah. He broke their made-up rules. Let's examine the ultimate battleground, the Sabbath. Read the accounts. They constantly accused him of breaking the Sabbath. But did he? When Yeshua healed a man with a withered hand, restoring the irreducible complexity of a human limb in a fraction of a second, the Pharisees wanted to kill him. I challenge anyone. Show me chapter and verse in the written Tanakh where healing a man violates the Sabbath. You can't, because it isn't there. You know what Yeshua violated? Their unbiblical fences. The Pharisees had invented over 500 ridiculous man-made rules regarding the Sabbath. Rules about how far you could walk, what you could carry, whether you could heal. They had taken a day designed for rest and communion with the Creator and turned it into an oppressive burden of legalism. Yeshua looked at these hypocrites who were entirely blind to the miraculous reality in front of them, and he rebuked them. He wasn't destroying the Sabbath. He was restoring it to its original perfect design. In Matthew 23, Yeshua talks about the seat of Moses. The Pharisees claimed the authority to sit in that seat and mandate new laws, demanding the people obey their traditions as if they were handed down at Sinai. They were directly violating Deuteronomy 4:2, which commands us neither to add to nor subtract from the word. I ask you, how can finite, fallible men claim the authority to override the infinite Creator? They cannot. That is exactly why Yeshua blasted them in Matthew 15:3. He looked them dead in the eye and asked, "Why do you break the commandment of Elohim for the sake of your tradition?" He exposed their logical contradictions. He proved that they cared more about maintaining their religious control and their theological monopolies than they cared about the truth. They traded the true word of life for the traditions of elders. It is easy to point fingers at the Pharisees in the first century. But what about today? Have we not done the exact same thing? The modern religious system has built its own fences. It has created unbiblical traditions that nullify the words of the Brit Hadashah and the Tanakh. Millions are sitting in pews, blindly following dogmas that have absolutely no foundation in the scriptures, completely disconnected from the Hebraic roots of the faith. If we are going to follow the true Yeshua, the Yeshua of the Bible, we must be willing to take a sledgehammer to our own traditions. We must return to the absolute standard of Yahweh's instructions, because anything else is just sinking sand. Visit biologosacademy.com for more Torah Bible resources. Making the Kingdom Great Again, Matthew 5:19,